welcome to my channel. My name is Bambi Plattfuss. This is Almost Pinball, your Visual Pinball Junkies podcast. I'm your host today, and with me is my lovely co-host, Ace Danger.
Hey!
And today we have a surprise for you, because we have a guest today, and his name is Mark from the Arrrrrcade.
Arrrrrrr!
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. So, our today's topic is, I want to make an original game, and who could be better than you, because you are one of the many people who's making an original game. So
extremely ambitious.
Yeah. And could you please tell us, how did you start making your own game, or where did you start?
Well, I started by just getting a piece of plywood and throwing things on it and seeing if they worked. First, you got to get like a pinball control system so you can actually use the flippers and stuff. But you can just basically bolt a couple flippers onto a piece of plywood and start flipping and see what happens. That's how I did it. But
did anything catch on fire?
No, not yet. I did spill a beer on my playfield once. So my advice is, if you're going to put a beer on your playfield, make sure it's a light-colored beer.
Yeah, gotcha.
And could you tell us, our listeners, why didn't you start it in the real world and didn't start making it in Visual Pinball like it is done with, as example, with Sonic?
Yeah. So at the time, it didn't really have the full I'm using a software framework called Mission Pinball. Which yeah, it's which allows you to it handles multiple platforms to write your game rules for your pinball machine.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people are using Visual Pinball now because Mission Pinball has a newer integration into Visual Pinball. So basically, it becomes much easier to develop your game on the Visual Pinball platform using Mission Pinball's bridge that they have. And then just flip a few switches and configuration settings, and all of a sudden your same code is going to work on a real game.
Very nice.
Yeah. So I actually got started. I got a old Jurassic Park game, so I had a whole bunch of parts ready to go, and I was ready to just like get going on the real world. So
yeah. Now, what language of code is that? Is that like? Excuse my, I'm not really a coder by nature.
Yeah.
Is it code? C++ or?
No. It's actually kind of their own language. They call it like coding with config files, but it's really sort of like a language. It's a pretty simple language, easy to learn. It's basically event based. You basically say
if then else type of stuff, or
the system like says like right flipper fired or something like that, and then you can like have something listen for that event and like do something like play a light or play a sound, or I mean you wouldn't do that on a flipper obviously, like target hit. You can score points, things like that. It's all the underlying software is also Python. So if you can't figure out how to do something in their special language, you can then write some Python code to handle it.
And the Python code overrides the native code. So as long as you know Python, you're good to get started with the basic.
Yep.
Okay.
And you don't even have to use Python. Most things you can just do with their basic config file language. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of support out there in terms of documentation.
There's so much support. Yeah. There's tons of documentation. There's tons of people. There's that'll help you. Mission Pinball has a Google group, email group that there's plenty of helpful people on there. Once you move to another platform, like I'm using Fast Pinball as my controller boards, there's a fast Slack channel, which is tons of helpful homebrewers in there. It'll help you out with any problems you have. If you choose P-Rock, there's another Slack channel for them, which is the same thing over there.
And Mark, Why did you choose MPF over P-Rock or an other solution? Was there a specific reason for that?
Yeah, I chose fast pinball over P-Rock. At the time, it was they're very similar. So my decisions were basically on fast. They required less boards because fast pinball combines switch controllers and coil controllers on single boards, whereas they're separate for P-Rock. And another thing which didn't happen to really matter because I ended up using an external light controller. The light controller on board fast pinball is serial based, which requires which means every light is connected to the previous light basically, as opposed to all wired separately to the board. And I just didn't want to do all the wiring where I had to wire all. I was lazy basically.
How many hours are you into this thing?
Oh, I don't even know at this point. Like,
if you're ready to guesstimate,
I mean, hundreds. I couldn't tell you. I just lost track. I mean,
many hours. I could tell that because I watched many hours of your stream when you are and were building it. It was
Twitch, right?
Yeah, on Twitch. Yeah. By the way, I'm gonna link Mark's Twitch channel down below in the video description, and be sure to check out his Twitch channel. His name is the Arrrrrcade on Twitch.
Or
five R's, and you pronounce every one of them.
And yes, exactly. Can't miss an R.
Yep.
And we should also link the link that he has to his build, so folks can follow the step-by-step process of what he did on Pinside. I think he started a thread there.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll link up it all in the video description. That's no problem. So everyone can find everything we are talking here about. And Mark, was there a specific reason why did you choose Metroid as the theme of your pinball? So
that Jurassic Park playfield that I got all my parts from, I mentioned earlier, I showed my youngest brother what I was doing. And like the the dinosaur the mech that's on that eats the ball.
Yeah.
It's like it had like 2/3 of its like remaining on it. The dinosaur outer skin was gone. It was just like the metal pieces underneath. And my brother looks at it and he's like, "You know what? You should make a Metroid pin. That thing could be like Kraid and it could like eat the ball and stuff like that." Or like, and I'm like, that's an awesome idea to make a Metroid pin, but this mech right here is junk and it's missing 1/3 of its parts, so I don't think I'm going to use it. But
It just gave me an idea, Mark. Are you going to do like you remember the old school Nintendo would have a password to get you right back to the end boss?
Yep.
Is there a way to implement that somehow into the code? So you put that's awesome. Cool. You go right to the wizard mode.
Yep. I already have some flipper codes in it.
Wherever you left off or.
Yeah. You could probably save state. I haven't really thought about that yet, but I'm sure you could.
That would be neat.
But I have flipper codes already to do other things that are like mini games and stuff like that. Like, but I could just implement one to go right to the final boss and set everything up for that. Like I have a flipper code to it's
up, down, left, right, BA start select.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's more like left, right. But it's there's one in there it like changes the game so it plays the rules for total nuclear annihilation on my game.
Oh, that was nice. I saw that. Yeah, that was cool.
That would be a cool multi-ball thing, like activates something on the game and then the music of TNA starts playing and everyone, wait, what the fuck? What is now happening? Yeah.
Am I playing the right game here?
That's it.
But so I actually do plan on a flipper code to go right to the end. That would be fun. I haven't actually coded the wizard mode yet. I could because like you can qualify the wizard mode right now.
Okay.
But you can't. I didn't actually code that yet. So we're getting pretty far in the code. I've been like for the past year and a half, ever since the last Pintastic has been all coding, almost all coding. I've done some hardware work, but there's a lot in there to do now.
Yeah, I mean, it takes hours to code just one small section of the rule set, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it takes even longer when it doesn't work.
Yeah, you gotta kind of take a few things apart and kind of go back and play around with it again, put it back in the, load it back onto the what are you loading the code onto, like an SD card or?
No, I'm pushing it over the network. I actually have Wi-Fi support. It has Twitch support on it. It's always like reading my Twitch chat, and it'll like put the chat on the screen. Awesome. If somebody subscribes during a game, it will either like randomly warp me somewhere in the map into a different mode, or it could give me reverse flippers and like just totally screw with my game.
Awesome. If someone from Stern, JGP, or any other manufacturer is listening, we want that internet connectivity in our machines now.
Mm-hmm. JGP is putting it in. It's still in beta, I think, but they are offering that now.
Yeah.
So, any advice for? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We had a similar discussion with our friends here in our pinball league here in my hometown, where we discussed about dialed in and how cool the feature was with having the small phone with the photos and share it on internet. And I was like, dude, it's the year 2021. It's time to get this thing online and then play against other people's live or similar, like writing the messages on the pin like, "A loser, drain the ball," or something like that. It would be cool features.
Yeah, to be able to kind of share screens, so when one player is playing, they see your
right now in the pandemic,
like
having in the back glass a little camera screen where you like a Twitch stream where you can see the other people and talk with him or something like that. It would be awesome.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that the other day, like how easy it would be for Stern or other pinball companies to just manufacture just a little arm that comes out with like a camera, essentially, and it would take footage of your playing field, and then over the network it would just display your DMD or your LCD, and that way you're playing against. You can have a 2-player game remotely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
When we are talking about manufacturers right now, did any kind of manufacturer come to you and ask you if you want to build the Metroid in massive real production? Like, hey, I'm Gary Stern and I want to make this the real thing, or did this not happen?
Nintendo's not too cool with their license.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Nintendo will be a little bit more lenient on Metroid because it's not as popular in Japan, and the primes were made in Texas, so who knows? But as far as manufacturers, now I haven't got in for any interviews yet. But call me.
And how are we doing with the artwork of the game? Where are we at? I know you just recently did a playing field. You showed some.
Yeah.
You just got that redone. What, two months ago or something?
Yep. So
CNC'd and all nice and clean, all clear coated.
It's not clear coated yet. That's
it's
issue.
not okay.
Yeah. So that right now it's version 3 playfield is ready to be clear coated. It's not going to be the final version because art isn't ready yet. So we're gonna do a few decals, label all the inserts, have a little bit of art on it. But the art is being worked on by Joel de Guzman, excellent artist. Yeah. If you've seen the American Pinball Amy Pin poster they have, that's what he did that.
Yeah, amazing. He's an awesome illustrator.
Amazing artist.
Yeah. He did provide some slingshot art, which was has been there like the entire time on this V2 playfield that I'm playing with now. So.
Jeez, that will look sick when that's done.
Oh, it's gonna look awesome, I'm sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but that I mean, what else? I think what Joel's worked on a couple of games in the past, right?
Yeah, he worked on a couple custom games. He did it was a Hershey Bears. I'm not sure if he did anything other than the Hershey Bears one. Now I'm thinking of it. Yeah, so art's gonna be awesome. I also want to give a shout out to the audio the audio team.
You had some people do some voiceovers.
Yeah. Claire Henry is the voice of Samus, and her husband Grant did all the music, or he's the main guy who did all the music with his band Metroid Metal. Goes by Stemmage online.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually has done some work on video games too. He did the latest Bubsy game that just came out.
Oh, Steam. On Steam or
it must be on Steam. I'm not sure what it's for. I forget what it's called, but it's subtitled. But yeah, there was I think it might have crowdfunded or something. But yeah, they just came out with a new Bubsy game about a year ago.
I have a real good question now. I believe that my wife is not listening.
What's the question?
The question is, how much money did you already spend on your build? But
oh boy,
wife is not listening, so I can share that and ask that. So.
Yep.
Wives, here away, talk about Gucci or something like that. We want to hear prices.
So that's a very good question.
It's time to let the monkey free, Mark.
Yeah, I actually do not know the real answer to that, but I would estimate if I excluded buying tools, and like my makerspace dues to get access to the CNC, excluding all that because that's kind of expensive.
Yeah.
And you might already have the access to that.
Most people don't, though.
Yeah.
A CNC machine or some other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people do, but most people don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say, including mistake parts, like things I didn't use, things I threw away, I probably spent about a Stern premium on it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's not cheap to. I mean, you can make it cheap, but
you want to make it good.
Yeah, I've been trying to make it look really professional. So I've been spending a little more money than some people have to.
Well, I mean, me personally, I got the opportunity to check it out, and fucking awesome job, man.
Thank you.
Awesome job.
The thing I can say is when I see pictures
don't do it justice.
or videos when you play it, it looks legit. Yeah, it looks like it could be a real pin from a manufacturer out of that, which I could buy from a vendor. Awesome.
Yeah.
And I was right about to say too, you should be working for one of those companies, Mark.
Oh, I'd love to. Like I said, if
Jack should be calling you 3 times a day, going.
Right now, I'm still independent.
Oh, why not make an own manufacturer, like a small thing like Spooky did? I think it's Spooky, like let's say make 100 of this game.
Yeah, I think I'd rather work for a manufacturer. Maybe if somebody wanted to do it as like a contract game, that would work. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that.
So if you are a pinball manufacturer and you want a new player in the game, contact Mark. He's a very talented guy. Contact him.
Any advice on Homebrew, Mark?
Just if you want to do it, just do it. I didn't know anything about it when I started, and it turned out pretty awesome. So it does take there's a learning
takes
curve.
Patience.
Yeah, it takes some patience. But realistically, you can get something up and going if you know anything about how a pinball machine works. And then you can get something up and going pretty quickly. It may not play your rules might be not there, but you can get things flipping pretty quick.
What was the
hardest?
hardest?
Must have been exciting the first time you got it kind of. You got the flippers going, and you got
that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow.
It was just a big empty play field, and I was just bouncing the ball around for like an hour.
I did this, bitch.
And you were live on Twitch. I saw that. You was like,
yep.
Oh, I can hit the flipper button, and the flipper is really moving. Look here, look. And earlier in the chat now, okay, do something else. And you were, no, it flips. Yeah. Awesome.
I think like a week later, I might have put in an orbit rail or something. Then I flipped around for like 3 more hours.
I remember when you were making the skill shot where you had a rail making like the ball from the inlane to the a drop target or something like that, where it was like making an orbit, and you were bending the metal so it has the perfect landing spot, and you were like maybe an hour or two just bending the metal every little piece, and it wasn't right. You were like, oh, I need perfection.
Yeah. It's amazing how much a little bend affects the ball, especially on something near the back of the playfield, because that's just exaggerated as it goes down towards the flippers.
I needed to do that on my Star Wars Premium. When you hit on the Star Wars, the R2D2 lock, there's always it's a kicker hole, and it was always draining immediately in the middle. It was always a drain in the middle. And then I just bent the metal, I would say, just in half of an inch, like the Americans say, like a small finger. It was just a tiny bit, and now it lands on my left flipper. It was such a release when you could finally play the game correct.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about the next version screwing all that up, but I designed in some like adjustments to like a lot of the rails. So you basically just unscrew a nut under the playfield, and you can just move it over a little bit, screw the nut back in. So hopefully everything will be easily set up on this next version, which should be assembling this summer.
I'm excited. Yeah, congratulations, Mark. You've done
an
unbelievable job of bringing an idea to reality.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome job, man. A lot of people, get halfway through the process and say, F it, this shit's just too much. I got too much going on in my life. I get, or maybe they don't have a lot going on in their life, but it's just the amount of patience that it requires and resources and problem solving to get it to dial in,
Yeah.
I feel that hard. I'm still working 2 years now on 2 machines. I'm not going to need to cut it out right now because I don't want to talk that publicly, right? Yeah. What is the estimated shipping time or the release day of the final version of your pen?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Or do you think, do you ever finish your table? It's like you said, I'm working on the virtual free version, the V3 version, because I have new ideas. Is there anything, like you say, when I have reached this thing, then it is finished?
Yes, there's definitely that point in my mind. I was hoping it would be this fall because I plan on bringing it to Expo this year. But it looks like that's not going to happen. But the version that I am bringing will have entirely final parts except for the playfield and the plastics because the art won't be done yet. So I'm guessing it'll probably be next year sometime when it's done. But for all intents and purposes, it should be a representation of the final version in the fall.
Cool. And
Really
are you
cool.
getting to the point where you're experiencing any fatigue with this?
I do want it. I kind of want it done, but at the same time, I'm planning game 2. So it's not like I am burnt out on the idea of making pinball. It's just I just want to make more pinball.
Okay, all right.
Do you want to?
Kinda... Oh, go ahead.
No, you first.
So you're not really burnt out with Metroid. It's just you want to kind of get that out of the way so you can just make a newer game.
Yeah, because I have some cool ideas experimenting with, which I really want to show off before they end up in some commercial game and people think I copy them.
Know that feeling.
It's a theme that it's another cool theme that I'm really excited about.
A licensed theme
now.
Do you want to tell us?
One, but probably a little less likely to get a cease and desist though. So I'm keeping it a secret for now, but it's been on my mind more seriously lately, and I do actually have started experimenting with some cool things for it.
Yeah.
Look forward to checking that out.
I can't wait to actually get to the point where I can
start to talk about it.
Yeah, start to talk about it.
Yeah. The theme is always a thing which leads the whole thing. Like example, if you make a racing game, you need a lot of ramps, because if you just have bumpers in it, it doesn't feel right, you know.
Yeah, like when you're designing a game, you have to like consider like does this look like the world or the theme that I'm designing for, or else it just doesn't feel like right. You just slapped a theme on it, you know.
So I have a really good question which I ask everyone in the pinball world. What is the most fascinating thing in pinball for you?
I would say just like how much variety you can have on with a simple idea. Like I'm knocking a ball around a piece of wood. Like all the ideas that you can come up with, like just from that simple concept. Like there's so many games that don't feel like other games, and yet they are made of the same pieces. That's really fascinating to me. Like you can just rearrange something and it's like a totally different thing, but it's the same stuff, but it feels like something totally different.
Right.
Like that type of ideas, I think, so it fascinates me.
That's an honest answer. Thank you.
That was a great question.
Yeah,
it was a very good one.
I asked you that also, Ace, in the first episode. You know that? You remember? I asked that everyone in pinball, everyone I met the first time, I asked, what is the most fascinating thing? And you hear every time another thing. For everyone is something different. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, what drew you out of all of Nintendo's licensed characters? What drew you to Metroid the most?
Super Metroid is one of my favorite games of all time.
I know you got the idea from your brother, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're both big fans of Super Metroid, the whole series to me, except for one, which that one game that everybody hates.
Which we shan't.
What's that?
Which we shan't talk about.
Yes, well, I'm not talking about that game. It doesn't exist.
Metroid Pinball?
No, I know Metroid Pinball. No, Metroid Pinball exists. What are you talking about? Like, I actually have not played the DS game, Metroid Pinball. I've been avoiding it. Because I want to make something different from that. I will play it probably. I mean, at this point, I'm beyond that point. I should probably play it. But yeah, it's Super Metroid was my favorite game of all time for a while. I don't know if it still is, but at least as a kid and young adult, I would play that over and over again. So it's a world that I knew well, a theme I knew well, so it was pretty easy for me to work on.
Super Metroid, that was for the Super NES, right?
Yep, that was it.
Yeah. Yep. The first one, I don't know if I even had a chance to play that one, but I fell in love with the original one for the original Nintendo.
Yeah, the original Nintendo one, I love that one too, but that one didn't grab me quite as much. I played that a bunch. I own that one, but until
I am proud to say
Super Metroid, it was like
I beat that game. I beat it.
Yeah.
I feel very accomplished.
But yeah, that's it. It's just one of my favorite games.
And in terms of artwork, going back to artwork again, have you seen any rough like concept ideas of from Joel in terms of like what he was thinking? Like a rough sketch of the placement of different characters and assets in that Metroid universe.
Yeah. We sort of talked about like what I was thinking, like what does this thing do? What does it represent? Things like that. So, and then like made sure he had like diagrams of like where things are and what things do. So, and then we, and
I love what you did with the back glass, like that Mira LED parallax.
Yep, the infinity mirror. There are 100 LEDs in that back box, all RGB controllable, and they are mirrored, so they look like they curve off into infinity. It looks pretty awesome. You can do some cool effects with it.
Yeah, it's neat. Yeah, it's cool. It's very creative. Would you get the inspiration for that? You just kind of saw one day and you were like, you know what? That would make a really cool back glass.
I stole it from Space Invaders and updated it with modern lights, basically.
Oh, Space Invaders had that. Okay, all right.
No, I was playing Space Invaders and I was like, that looks really cool. I'm going to do that, except I'm going to make them RGB.
Perfect.
Yep.
Oh, it works.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk through Walmart or something like that, and you see a specific item, like now the infinity glasses and thing, are you looking at that could possibly fit perfect in my machine, or is this something like you get that thing inspiration by a dream or something like, or do you plan how it should look like, or is this more like spontaneous?
Like I've been trying to find like things like when I see things, I'm like, well, how would this work in a pinball machine now? It's weird. It's yeah, I'm always on the lookout for like different things I can grab and like, could they be used in pinball? Things like that. So far that like some of the things I was talking about, alluding to earlier in game 2 are things like that. So.
Now, how did you make the ramps at the first couple of runs with Metroid?
Yeah, so the ramps that are on it now are, they look good on stream, but if you look at them up close, they're pretty lumpy. So I made a mold, basically a replica of what the ramp should be out of plywood on a CNC machine, and like smoothed it out with like Bondo and like touched it up and things like that to give it a nice, good, smooth surface.
Okay.
And then went over to my friend's house and we vacuum formed it. He had a vacuum table that he had made.
Very cool.
And we just melted the plastic in his oven and then hooked the vacuum table up to a shop vac and put it down and tried our best to make it work. I don't think the shop vac had quite enough suction, and my molds weren't good because they were what you call a positive mold, which looks exactly like the final product, essentially. Mm-hmm. So
any imperfections are going to come through.
Yeah, any imperfections come through. There's actually a spot on it that's like as thin as a baggie, but fortunately a ball doesn't touch it. So we screwed up on that, but for the final version,
you learned a couple.
Yeah, I took those molds, made what's called a negative mold from it, which is like basically a mold of the empty space around the ramp.
Yeah.
And
gonna use
sent
resin?
that off to somebody who knows what they're doing, who makes reproduction pinball ramps. And he said, all right, your molds are good, but I'm going to fix them up a bit and change them for my system. And then he made some what look like professional ramps. They look like something that you would buy in a game now, basically, get in a game now. They're not in the new, they're going in the next version, but I have them already. Plus, cool. I have those molds that are really good now, so I can make more.
Perfect.
Yeah,
you're all set.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, and just that one part of the game, I'm sure, was like a series of phone calls and emails and.
Yep.
Getting people there, it's a lot of work.
Yep. Yeah. There's always a bunch of questions. Like I had to like send off like pictures of my CAD, like from the CAD drawing. Like this does this, so. It's got to be like that. And it's like, all right, I can fix that, and things like that.
What was the biggest issue you ran into when you built a whole machine? Like you said earlier, you spilled the beer over your playfield. Was that the biggest issue, or something like you dropped the hammer and you broke the expensive rams or something like that?
Mm-hmm. I would say the biggest mistake I made when putting it together would be when I was getting the game together to show off at the first show, Fantastic, that it went to. I was rushing to hook up the light boards, and I accidentally hooked them up to the 12-volt system instead of the 5-volt system, and blew out almost all of my light boards. Apparently, the lights in the pop bumpers can run on both voltages, so they didn't actually blow up. But almost every single one did, and that means I had to take it out and spend like 3 nights on it, fixing, like replacing everything.
But you still won first place.
Well, yeah, I did. I got it done. Although that cut into coding time, I'm surprised. Like the small amount of code that had in the game at that point, I'm surprised I got as much done as I did. Like I only had like a couple weeks to get anything really written, because I had some code before that on the original playfield, but there were no inserts, so it was really no point writing any modes because you couldn't see what's going on. Like,
right?
What am I supposed to shoot?
Yeah, if everything's off.
Yeah. So I had held off and just worked on like basics up until then for code. So yeah, I had to rush and make something that actually made you think that it was more done than it actually was. So it's like get a multi-ball in there, make the targets blink, things like that.
Well, I believe you even got Steve Ritchie's blessings.
Yeah, he said he didn't hate it, which is apparently a really big compliment from him.
He could be a German.
Yeah. He also gave some good advice. I had never played it in the dark until like late night at Pintastic, and that was when he played it. He's like, you really need more lights, and I'm like, yeah, you realize that now. He didn't tell me what kind of lights to put in, so I added the next version has 86 more lights above and below the playfield. So it's more than doubled on the next version. I think it was like 67 on the original one.
And what was the brightest moment of your build so far? Like you said right now, Steve Ritchie wasn't saying anything bad about it. Was this the brightest moment you had with the machine, or where you showed it off, or where you? Yeah,
I think it was the debut at Pintastic. Like I got to play with Steve Ritchie, Tim Sexton, and Joe Balser, and they all gave me some good advice on it. So
it got a lot of buzz. Yeah, a lot of people were talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people who played it liked it. I was behind one guy who was playing it, and they were like, "Oh, this sucks." Like they left the ball there or something. Like, well, there's one guy who doesn't like it. Don't know why, but.
Well, you're gonna get those.
You can't get those everybody.
You can't please everyone.
Yeah. I mean, there are games that other people love and I don't. So I mean, whatever.
Speaking from advice, what would be the first advice or the last advice you would give someone want to building a new game, so we can close this whole thing, like get started or something like that? A short advice for everyone who wants to make an old game.
Get started. Don't be afraid. It looks hard. No individual part of it is difficult. Putting everything together can be difficult, but like each individual piece is not a difficult step. Like hooking up a target, hooking up a coil, those are all simple. Don't be afraid. Just you'll learn. Everything will fall into place eventually. It's something you can do.
It's not a race; it's a marathon.
No, it's and actually, I mean, don't push yourself too hard. If you don't give yourself a deadline if you don't have to, but don't give up.
Right on.
That's spot on, I would say. With those words, I would say we're gonna close this podcast for today. Mark, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for having me. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, it's been awesome hanging out. Thanks, Mark.
It was awesome
man.
discussing and getting all those advices from you, from someone who was riding the journey for such a long time. So for everyone who don't know Mark yet, I'm gonna link down in the video description his Twitch channel and the link to his build. So be sure to check out his site. Arrrrrcade. Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Also, thank you, Ace. And thank you to all our listeners. My name is Bambi Plattfuss. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.